Good afternoon and welcome back to Total Football Analysis's live commentary of the Bundesliga. Today, it's Borussia Monchengladbach versus Bayer Leverkusen. And once again, I'm joined by the brilliant Lee Scott. Lee, welcome back. How's your Saturday been so far?
It's been good so far. Looking forward to this game, though. I think it'll be a really interesting match from a tactical perspective, and hopefully a little bit more attacking football than we saw last night.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Now, Borussia Mönchengladbach lock horns with Bayer Leverkusen after both teams actually managed impressive victories last weekend. Gladbach, they beat Eintracht Frankfurt, and Bayer Leverkusen beat Werder Bremen comfortably in the Monday night game. The home side, managed by Marco Rose, are currently third in the division, 2 points off of Dortmund, who also play today. Peter Bosch's Leverkusen are just a point outside of the Champions League places and will be looking to close the gap on RB Leipzig and possibly even leapfrog them after they dropped points last time out. Lee, what type of game are you anticipating here this afternoon?
I think it'll be a real tactical battle. Both teams are very flexible in terms of the way they play. The home side first, Borussia Mönchengladbach, looking likely that they're going to set up in the same kind of system as last week. So expect to see a 4-2-3-1. But the 3 and the 1, so the 3 attacking midfielders and the forward, there will be a lot more interchanging between them. We'll start with probably Alassane Plea, the French striker, playing it up top, but he comes deep a lot, and Breel Mbolo and Marcus Thuram both look to occupy that high space. The main thing to look out for with Mönchengladbach is the concept that they use regularly with the ball, where they look to the highest line straight away. So you'll see a lot of driven vertical passes into the feet of the furthest forward player, and they tend to create platforms to play off from there. Bayer Leverkusen are an interesting proposition too. More possession orientated perhaps in Gladbach. They do tend to control the ball a little bit more in games, but they're also very vertical with the way they attack. They like to play vertical passes into the feet of Kai Havertz, who looks like he's going to be the lone striker today. It's looking like they're going to set up slightly differently to last week, where we saw them with a 4-2-3-1 as well. It's looking more likely that they're going to set up with a back three today, but we'll wait to see exactly what it looks like on the pitch. Expect to see a lot of quick combination play in the final third as they look to break through. Leverkusen are also a high-energy pressing team, so we can expect to see Gladbach put under a lot of pressure when they have the ball and are trying to build up from the back.
Absolutely. Let's run through the two teams, and you can let us know sort of your thoughts on those lineups. First of all, I want to say a big hello to everybody who's tuned in via the Total Football Analysis YouTube channel. If you are, head over to the Hot Mic app, download it, use the promo code TFA2020, and you can sync our commentary with your television pictures. If you are watching us via Hot Mic, hello to you too, and please be sure to hit that like button and share the broadcast with your friends and family. We'll be bringing you in-depth analysis of this one as it unfolds. Well, Lee will. I'll be keeping him company. Let's run through the two sides then. For Borussia Mönchengladbach in goal, it's the experienced Swiss goalkeeper Jan Sommer. The back four is Stefan Leiner, Matthias Ginter, Nico Elvedi and Rami Bensebaini. In the middle of the park, we've got Florian Neuhaus and Tobias Strobel. Then it's Jonas Hoffmann, Breel Mbolo and Marcus Thuram playing a supporting role to Alassane Plea. Now that is what it looks like on the screen. I mean, we can see if there's going to be any variations to that shape as the game kicks off. Looking at the Mönchengladbach team, you've spoken a bit about Thuram and Mbolo and what they like to do and in the way that they support the striker. Who are your key men today for Borussia Mönchengladbach?
One player to look out for is the left back Remy Bensebaini. He is a left back in name only. He likes to get forward a lot more. Think about what we saw last week from Alphonso Davies at Bayern Munich. We'll see on that same side. I expect to see Marcus Thuram start from the left hand side, but he's far more like a forward, so he'll look to get up to support the highest line and he'll look to move inside to the half spaces. This creates space for Bensebaini to move forward into. In midfield, Florian Neuhaus is an interesting player, 22-year-old German. He's very technical, very good going forward, creative passer with a good passing range. So he'll be key with the way they build up through the middle. But it's really important, especially the combinations between Thuram and Bolo and Plea. Those three interchange positions so well and so fluidly, it becomes very difficult for opposition teams to mark them effectively.
Brilliant stuff. And you mentioned Rami Bensebaini there. Just 25 years old, Algerian left back. He's got 5 goals and 2 assists in just 12 Bundesliga appearances this season. That tells you all you need to know, and it highlights what Lee was talking about there. Let's take a look at the Bayern Leverkusen side. It's Lukas Hradecky in goal, the Finnish goalkeeper. The defence, Mitchell Weiser, Edmund Tapsoba, Alexander Dragovic, who spent some time on loan at Leicester City for our Premier League viewers, and Daily Sinkgraven, Charles Aranguiz, Sven Bender, Karim Bellarabi, Kerem Demirbay, Moussa Diaby, and then the man on everybody's lips at the moment, Kai Havertz. Your key men in the Leverkusen side, Lee.
Leverkusen actually have my favourite player in the Bundesliga on their side. That's Charles Aranguiz, the Chilean midfielder. He was very, very close to agreeing a deal to join Bayern Munich just a few weeks ago before signing a new contract at Leverkusen, and he's one of the most progressive passers in the entire league. He's a player in the midfield that you look to get on the ball, and he'll split the lines with those passes that find players in space. Kai Havertz is possibly the player that most professional teams, large teams, will be scouting in this match. He's interested in a lot of top clubs around Europe because of his ability to either play in the front line, as he's likely to today, or in a slightly more withdrawn position. But from wherever he plays, he makes his presence known in the penalty area as a very good finisher, and he likes making delayed runs in the penalty area. We should also keep an eye out for French attacker Moussa Diaby, signed from Paris Saint-Germain, another French attacking player that they've let go in recent years because there's no pathway into the first team at PSG. And Diaby is a creative force. He's quick, nimble, likes to dribble, likes to take players on, and he's got a great eye for a pass as well. Also look out, the final player is a defender, Edmund Tapsoba, who is from Burkina Faso. He was signed from Liga NOS in Portugal side, Vitória Guimarães. He's a defender, but again, he's a very progressive passer, so expect to see him on the ball a lot as Leverkusen build up.
Brilliant stuff. Don't forget to give us a like on Hot Mic if you're watching us via there. And of course, you can use that follow button. Do follow Total Football Analysis. That way you will never miss a broadcast as we bring you games from all over Europe as soon as they're back up and running. Lee, I know it's difficult to predict because obviously we've seen the Bundesliga resume just last weekend. Fitness levels are an issue. We've seen lots and lots of substitutions in the games we've covered so far, etc., etc. But if you had to stick your neck out on the line, how do you see this one going?
I have a suspicion that Leverkusen might edge this one, but it's really too early to say for sure. I don't tend to do very well if I do bet on games. I don't do it anymore. I can analyse games as they're going on, but beforehand, before the first ball's kicked, who knows? Monchengladbach are a very good team. Don't forget, Marco Rose, their coach, came across from Red Bull Salzburg, the Austrian Giants, and he's instilled a lot of the same principles that we see in the Red Bull clubs at Monchengladbach. So there's a lot of verticality in their passing. They move forward quickly. They support one another, and they'll make life very difficult for the Leverkusen defence. But I have a suspicion that in the final third, Leverkusen may just have the edge tonight.
Brilliant stuff. And we're just seeing the pictures on our TV screens now of the Borussia Monchengladbach fans who have their cardboard cutouts been put in the stadium. That's a nice touch. Really interesting stuff, really interesting idea, and I think that's something that may catch on the longer we are forced to see games played behind closed doors. Of course, Borussia Dortmund, who are also playing this afternoon, and are of interest to these two sides, they travel to Wolfsburg, and that game will be going on simultaneously, so we'll be bringing you score updates from there as well. Borussia Mönchengladbach currently in third, as we said earlier on. Do you think that they'll be looking to catch Dortmund? There's 4 points in it at the moment, or do you think Champions League qualification is about as much as Marco Rose can hope for, and as much as they want, I guess? Is that what their aim would have been at the start of the season?
I think it's difficult to say. This is Marco Rose's first year, of course, in charge of Mönchengladbach, and they are a side who are historically very good and very competitive at the top of the table. They are possibly the team, along with Leverkusen and, of course, RB Leipzig, who are most likely to split that kind of duopoly of Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund going forward. But a lot of that will be decided, I think, in the summer when teams strengthen and squad building happens. Going forward, though, for the rest of this season, I believe that Mönchengladbach will very much be aiming to get up at least into second place, perhaps even to challenge Bayern at the top.
Brilliant stuff. Borussia Park, of course, is the venue for today's game. The stadium opened not that long ago, actually, back in 2004, after their old stadium was deemed not up to the safety standards required But it's a lovely place to play football. We've got that added effect of the cardboard cutouts of the fans, and we're hoping for an entertaining game. Of course, we're just taking another look at that Bayer Leverkusen team. Leon Bailey is on the bench. He's somebody that people have a lot of interest in from overseas. What have you made of Leon Bailey, Lee? And do you think, I know we don't know if we're going to see him later on in this game, but is he an effective player, and is he someone that can make a difference?
I think over the last 9 to 10 months, Leon Bailey's regressed slightly. Before that, he was one of the most exciting attacking players in the Bundesliga. He is a player who can change a game on his own. He's capable of picking the ball up deep and driving. He's also got an incredible shot from range. He's very creative in the ways that he finishes. I think perhaps there's just a slight question at the moment over his mentality in terms of pressing, which of course we know that Leverkusen like to do. One player to watch out for, though, on the Leverkusen bench is the 17-year-old attacker, Florian Wirtz. He's a player who was signed acrimoniously from a rival club just in recent months. There was an agreement that Bayer Leverkusen wouldn't sign players from this particular club, but he came across. He only turned 17 at the start of May, which means he's eligible to play the Bundesliga, and he was straight into the starting lineup last week. So obviously Peter Bosz sees something in Wirtz that's quite likely we'll see him at some point today.
Brilliant stuff. You've got time to share the broadcast with your friends and family, by the way, just before kickoff here as the two teams gather in the centre circle. We're going to see a moment of respect. I'm assuming it's paid to those who, of course, lost their lives and have struggled with the coronavirus. We can see that it's going to be held right now in the centre circle here at Borussia Park, and we're just going to observe that minute's silence. We're ready to get underway here at Borussia Park. Interestingly, Monchengladbach have won each of their last 3 league meetings versus Bayer Leverkusen, the last one being a 2-1 victory in the reverse fixture earlier this season. Soren Storks is the man in the middle today. He'll be taking charge of this one. Bayer Leverkusen that are going to kick us off. They're wearing all red. Borussia Mönchengladbach in all white. Home side attacking from left to right as you look on your TV screens.
Already looks like it will be a back three for Leverkusen. You can see Sven Bender sitting in the middle of Dragovic and Tapsoba there. He'll very much play a central role and allow the other two to carry the ball forward a little more.
We're underway here. Bayer Leverkusen in possession. Just a quick reminder to those of you looking to sync our commentary to your television pictures. If you're having any issues with the automatic sync, you can use the manual sync buttons on your screen and you'll be able to adjust it accordingly. We'll be giving you some marks through the game to help you do that. We're now on the 25th second. First foul of the game. Given away there by Stefan Lehner. But on Stefan Lehner, apologies, Diaby with the foul. Lehner just limping away there. Mönchengladbach have a free kick deep inside their own half. It's taken short. It's back to Jan Sommer. 19 degrees centigrade at pitch level, according to our pictures. It looks like it actually looks as though there are people in the stands, doesn't it?
It does. It's quite a nice effect. I think you're right. We could see this more going forward. It's a good way to keep the fans involved and engaged.
Absolutely. It just looks better if nothing else. You know, if it doesn't have any other impact, which it won't because they are cardboard cutouts. At the very least, it looks better as Borussia Mönchengladbach look to cause Bayer Leverkusen some problems on this left-hand side. Ball played inside. Opportunity to get across in the Mönchengladbach players gone down in the penalty area. No appeal, though, for a penalty, and it wasn't one. So that's good to see. Bit of honesty in the game from Florian Neuhaus. Free kick taken short. Goal kick, my apologies. Tapsoba gets it back from his right back and plays a long ball forward. Fortunately, it just bends out of play and goes out for a Borussia Monchengladbach throw-in just inside their own half. Marco Rose sitting there, watching on, hoping for a good performance from his side today. Lee, is there a similarity in the way that Peter Bosch's Bayer Leverkusen played to his Ajax team, who of course were very successful?
To an extent, I think that Peter Bosch has always been a very attack-minded coach. It's only really been in the last, I would say, 8 to 10 months that we've seen a more possession-orientated style from Leverkusen. Before that, it was attack, 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 and that's kind of similar to what we saw from him at both Ajax and Borussia Dortmund. So he is starting to adapt slightly. He seems more settled at Leverkusen, and they're extremely happy with his performance as a coach so far.
Is Lehner down that right-hand side. Cross came Hoffman to help him out. It's gone all the way back to the keeper. Symeou, who's under a bit of pressure from the Bayer Leverkusen man, but he gets it clear in the end. Just having a look at Bayer Leverkusen's shape. Is it what we thought? Is it slightly differently, in your opinion? Is it the 4 at the back that we thought it was at kickoff?
No, I think that Leverkusen mainly will be a 3, but Bender seems to be a little bit more flexible with his movement. We've already seen him step out a couple of times. So it's possible that Bender will play at the base in midfield and drop in and out the defensive line depending on whether they're in possession. That's the kind of tactical flexibility that a player like that gives you. But Tapsoba and Dragovic are both very, very athletic centre halves, so they're capable of defending space. You can see there it's a line of 3 in possession, with Tapsoba on the far side. And as soon as he gets the ball, he'll look for Mitchell Weiser, usually out of the right-hand touchline. Weiser's very quick and likes to provide width on that side. On the other side, we'll see the ex-Ajax player, Dali Sinkgraven.
Here is Diaby. Looked to take on Stefan Leiner there. Couldn't get past him in the end, though.
Stefan Leiner's an interesting player. He's the only player that Marco Rose returned to Red Bull Salzburg to sign when he came across Monchengladbach. He was his captain there.
First effort of the game there from Demirbay. Good run into the penalty area. Dancing his way through. Did really, really well up until the shot. Shifted it back onto that left foot. Drove it low at Jan Sommer. And when you're taught to be a goalkeeper, you're normally taught to get your body behind the ball and protect it. Jan Sommer didn't do that there. But fortunately, he had good hands. And he was able to prevent that squirming underneath him. Here's Briel Mbolo for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Dispossessed. Leverkusen with another opportunity to come forward. Foul given. It looked like it might have been a Bayer Leverkusen free kick, but it's been given the other way. Kai Havertz was winding up a shot there. I think it's Briel Mbolo who got back and got a foot in. And in the end, Kai Havertz, when he let fly, he ended up kicking Mbolo, who's down now on the edge of his own penalty area.
Interesting to see Briel Mbolo dropping back into those areas. He was a player who was very much initially thought of as a striker, as the number 9. When he broke through, and he spent a lot of time at Schalke in Germany before moving to Monchengladbach. Perhaps he hasn't developed quite as well as people expected to. He made the breakthrough to first team football at a very young age, but he still possesses an awful lot of pace when he makes those vertical runs, so expect to see him breaking forward regularly.
Seeing the 2 substitutes of Borussia Mönchengladbach considering coming down from the stand to warm up. It's a long way down, and it's very surreal seeing footballers sitting up in the stands, but such are the measures that we need to be taking at the moment. Safety first. All forward in the direction of Thuram. He jumps up there. Didn't win it. Tapsoba got there. Here come Leverkusen on this right-hand side. The ball in behind for Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz slots it past Jan Sommer, and it's in the back of the net. It's Bayer Leverkusen 1, Borussia Mönchengladbach 0. It's taken them just 6 minutes. Kai Havertz has made his mark. And Mönchengladbach will be furious. It's a poor, poor start to the game.
Certainly is. You see the kind of runs now from Bayer Leverkusen. Those are the moments that they like when the ball breaks in the centre. They're very good at carrying possession in central areas, and when the ball's played in behind the defensive line there, you see the composure for Kai Havertz that was perhaps missing in the game that we watched last night. There were two or three chances when a little bit more composure would have resulted in goals. This time Havertz just takes his time, waits for Sommer to commit himself, and then goes to ground. But that's why Kai Havertz is so highly rated. That's why the likes of Liverpool are so keen on signing him as soon as possible in the summer. He gives you that ability to finish him behind the defensive line. He also combines in the final third in a very, very strong manner. He's a player who I believe will make great strides in his next move, and he's not going to be at Bayer Leverkusen long beyond this season.
That's his 9th Bundesliga goal of the season, Kai Havertz. It was an expert finish and the finish of someone far more experienced than his years. Just 20 years old, Kai Havertz, and you can see why everybody is talking about him at the moment. Excellent finish. Didn't have to smash it, didn't have to do anything overly complicated, just guided it through the legs of Jan Sommer there. And it's Monchengladbach 0, Bayer Leverkusen 1. And we've not even played 10 minutes here. Perfect start for Peter Bosch's side.
This won't change the game too much at this point. The game state's still the same. Monchengladbach know they still have to come out and attack, and they would have done so anyway. I would expect to see Leverkusen continue in the same manner as well. A second goal is likely to change the game state and change the tactical concepts that the teams employ, but at the moment it should just be more of the same. But look out for the pace of Moussa Diaby out in this near side on the left-hand side for Leverkusen. If he gets opportunities when Liner starts to attack and goes high, then he will be very dangerous for Leverkusen.
All knocked forward in the direction of Thuram there, who got a header to it, but Monchengladbach can't maintain possession at the moment, and Dragovic is in possession for Leverkusen here. They look very comfortable on the ball, but a Monchengladbach player has gone down there, holding his face. The referee's paused play. I think it's Brilliant Bolo who's gone down. He's been in the wars early on. He's holding that left leg where he took a kicking from Kai Havertz just a few moments ago. Wonder if he's been able to shake that injury or not. It looks as though he hasn't, and it looks as though we may be looking at a substitution early on here for Borussia Monchengladbach as the physios come onto the field to tend to Brilliant Bolo.
This has been the problem with Mbolo throughout his career so far. There's been an awful lot of injury problems, little niggling injuries that take longer than perhaps expected to heal. But when he does get on the pitch and he is really fit, then he is one of the most important attacking players for Gladbach. So
just seeing a replay of Kai Havertz's goal once again. It was Bellarabi's pass and it was perfectly timed just to beat that offside trap. He just looks up and without really snatching at it, he's so composed. He looks up and he just guides it under the legs of the goalkeeper. The ball rolls into the back of the net and you can see again those social distancing type celebrations at the moment that we're seeing from so many players.
Leverkusen have a great balance in the centre midfield with Aranguiz and Demirbay in there. Demirbay is more of a carrier. He'll get on the ball centrally and he'll try and commit players and beat them centrally. Where Aranguiz is a very creative passer. That's part of what makes him so dangerous. Neither of them's great defensively, but on the ball they are both excellent players.
Don't forget, if you're watching us via the Total Football Analysis YouTube channel, do head over to the Hot Mic app using the promo code TFA2020 and you can sync our commentary with your television pictures. If you are watching us on Hot Mic, hello to every single one of you, and don't forget to hit that like button and follow Total Football Analysis if you're not already. Here is Aranguiz in the middle of the park, dispossessed there, but fortunately for him, the ball will break to Dragovic, and he goes all the way back to his goalkeeper. Dragovic gets it back now to Demirbay in the middle of the park, out to the left-hand side to Sinkgraven, who has pushed that little bit further up the pitch with Bayer Leverkusen playing this almost a back three with Bender dropping in there. Here come the visitors once again. Bellarabi on this right-hand side. The Arby's come over there to support him. The Arby's in possession now. Demirbay back out to Bellarabi. Lovely football from Bayer Leverkusen. They're going to have a shot from the edge of the box here. Dragged wide though. Not really troubling Jan Sommer in the goal there.
Those are the changes they they like to make those interchanges in the wide areas. They like to pull their players across so they're overloading one side. You saw Diaby coming across there and playing on that far side where he was able to get on the ball and then just keep the ball rotating and moving, trying to pull the Gladbach players out of position. It looks like Lars Stindl's about to come on now.
Looks like, is it going to be Breel Mbolo who has been in the wars early on? It is. Number 36, Breel Mbolo, is being replaced by Stindl.
Stindl will just go straight into that same position that Mbolo's just vacated, almost the 10 role. He's an excellent player, very technical, a good finisher when he breaks into the penalty area, but there'll be less interchanges of positions now. So Play and Thuram will still interchange, but don't expect to see Stindl doing the same.
Flicked on there by Thuram. Leverkusen have it back though. They're back in Monchengladbach's half, pressing the defence, making life uncomfortable for Marco Rose's side. Liner plays it forward. It reaches Thuram. Brought down. Free kick will go by Leverkusen's way. Hoffman stands over the free kick for Monchengladbach here. Going to dink it into the penalty area. The Bayer Leverkusen head to it first and the second time. Into shot blocked. And Leverkusen will look to break. Here's Diaby. Aaron Geese in the wars there in the middle of the park. Monchengladbach have it back at least temporarily, but they've lost it again now. Scrappy stuff at the moment. Here's Thuram on this left-hand side for the home side. Plays the pass infield there. But Mitchell Weiss had got back and done well. Throw in for the home side, in line with the edge of the Bayer Leverkusen penalty area. Shot from range. Driven high, but driven wide in the end. By Tobias Strobel.
Strobel doesn't get a lot of goals for himself, and you can kind of see why there. A little bit more composure, keep the ball circulating across instead of trying to hit that shot, which is obviously a low probability of succeeding. It feels like Gladbach just need to almost slow down a little bit, have a couple of minutes in possession of the ball before they get back into the game. I think that Leverkusen are defending well just now, and Gladbach are struggling to find the way past.
And Leverkusen are pretty happy to push up and press them press Monchengladbach, in their own half.
Yeah,
that's
just
sitting off.
Absolutely, that's going to be a given for them throughout the whole game. Even if they go 2 or 3 goals up, expect to see them continue to press. That's just how Peter Bosch likes it. They're conditioned very well and they're very aggressive when they press.
They've had 65% of the possession inside this first quarter of an hour. They'll be pretty pleased with that.
Definitely. It's interesting though when they press, you'll see the ball carrier for Gladbach is pressed by at least one player, but all of the other Leverkusen players, instead of pressing aggressively, they almost man-mark other Gladbach players, so they prevent the ball from escaping easily from the pressure, and that's how they look to force a turnover. Especially what we call a man-orientated press.
Here is Diaby stepping inside. Sinkgraven will let that go out for a Bayer Leverkusen throw-in. They'll take a breather. Quarter of an hour played here. They lead. They've definitely been the better team so far. Throw down the line in the direction of Diaby. Looks to take on Liner there, but ball ends up back with Jan Sommer. Switch the direction of the play. We've not seen much of Rami Bensebaini on that left-hand side yet, have we?
No, not yet. They've struggled to get him into the game a little bit. Most of the attacks have come down this right-hand side when they have had possession. Bensebaini, though, when he does get on possession in the final third, he is extremely dangerous. He's a great crosser of the ball, but also expect to see him break into the penalty area late, especially when the ball's on the near side. On his far side, you'll see him break in to try and get the end of crosses too.
Here's Charles Aranguiz in the middle of the park. Kai Havertz out to this right-hand side where he'll find Bellarabi. Just held up by his man there, gives it back to Demirbay. Monchengladbach have it back and they're looking to play their way out of their own third here.
We saw the position that Kai Havertz picked up possession there. He was in that half space. He dropped right off the front line, almost in a very similar way to Roberto Firmino does at Liverpool. There's a lot of similarities between the two in terms of where they move and collect the ball.
Here's Aaron Geith once more. Demirbay out to this left-hand side where Kai Havertz has taken up position. Plays a ball over the top for Diaby. Approaching the corner of the Monchengladbach penalty area here, but he turns and gives it back to Sinkgraven, who's come forward to support him. Back to Bender.
You see how high the central defenders are now for Leverkusen. They're feeling more comfortable at pressing out, and that's despite the fact that Gladbach do have a lot of pace in their front line that could exploit that space.
Here's Dragovic inside the centre circle. Ball out to the left-hand side to Sinkgraven. You're absolutely right. They've pushed right up the field here. Almost squeezing Gladbach back into their own half. Of course, there are risks to that. There are risks in the transition, but it means that they can dominate the game.
Yeah. They're controlling the space. They're pushing Gladbach a lot deeper than they would like to defend. But again, there can be mistakes, and then those transitional moments are key for Gladbach to take advantage of that.
Here's Thuram as he looks to break free of 2-3 Bayer Leverkusen defenders. He's brought down in the end by Aaron Geith, and he wins a free kick for Monchengladbach on that left-hand side.
For those that remember, of course, Marcus Thuram is the son of Lilian Thuram, the French defender, the ex-Juventus and Parma player. You can see a lot of similarities in terms of the build and the physicality, but playing very different positions. Thuram is an excellent forward, and he's going to develop really well, I think.
Free kick delivered into the penalty area. Flag's gone up there against Borussia Monchengladbach, and you're absolutely right to make that point. What a player Lilian Thuram was. Fantastic, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was excellent. Great defender in his time. One of the best, I think, that we've seen in the last couple of decades now. It's just a bit frightening to think about how old he would be now when I still remember him playing vividly.
Exactly. It makes me feel old when I see his son taking to the field in the Bundesliga now. That free kick, incidentally, the flag went up for offside. I'm not sure why. It didn't look offside on the replay. Perhaps a wrong decision there. Here come Leverkusen once more. Demirbay. Lays it off to Daily Sinkgraven, who's come forward on this left-hand side. Lovely bit of skill. Looks to play Diaby in, but the ball deflects and rolls back to Jan Sommer. And you just see with that formation of Bayer Leverkusen, it allows Daily Sinkgraven, doesn't it? And he's doing it more, I think, than Mitchell Weiser at the moment. But it gives those fullbacks the opportunity to get forward and support, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely. And both fullbacks were actually originally attacking players. Weiser was an attacking right winger, and Sinkgraven in the Ajax youth system was an attacking midfielder. So seeing them converted to fullbacks in this system makes a lot of sense for Peter Bosz, because obviously they are more comfortable and very comfortable in possession of the ball in the final third, which is where he wants his teams to play.
Tapsoba gives it away. Monchengladbach have it back now inside the Bayer Leverkusen half. Comes Liner. Forced back, all the way back to Matthias Ginter in the Monchengladbach defence. Neuhaus picks it up in the centre circle. The ball's out on the left-hand side now with Remy Bensabani. Here's Thuram to create the space for the cross. His cross is a poor one. It's picked up at the near post there by Edmund Tapsoba. He's even got time to slow down, pick out his pass.
Very calm and composed defender, Tapsoba. I think Leverkusen's recruitment team has done really well in recent seasons. There's been a lot of players that they've signed, like Diaby and Tapsoba in particular, that have really fit the system. They're recruiting to the head coach's strengths and to his game model, and that's something that not every team does. Occasionally you see a disconnect between the players they sign and the way their coach likes to play. So those two things really have to sync up for teams to be successful.
Absolutely. Here come Borussia Monchengladbach. Liner with a chance. Fires it across the penalty area. It's blocked there by Sven Bender. It's cleared away in the end. Now Leverkusen have the chance to hurt Borussia Monchengladbach. Ball in behind. Kai Havertz would chase it. Kai Havertz gets there brilliantly. Opportunity to put it in the penalty area. Just checks, holds it off. Back to Bellarabi, who turns but can't get it under control. And Monchengladbach get away with it there. It's a bit of a let-off because they were in real danger there.
They were. That was an excellent movement, though. You see the pace of Havertz as well, which is again another strength that he has. Looking at him, you might not think he's that quick, but when it's important, he has that acceleration ability to get on the ball. Certainly
looked deceivingly quick there. Just seeing that replay. Ball in behind, I think it was from Diaby. And you just see Kai Havertz gets there first. He knocks it past his man, who loses his footing. And he just looks up and he's looking for that option. Bellarabi's run wasn't great. He didn't take up a particularly good position. But it was a chance. And it was a chance that's gone begging.
Definitely. You get the impression, though, there are going to be more chances for Leverkusen in that exact manner, those transition moments when they're able to spring forward quickly. As the game goes on, if the game stays at 1-0, Gladbach will attack more, will commit more men forward, and that'll open the spaces that Leverkusen like to exploit. They're one of the best teams at the Bundesliga in finding those spaces between the lines of the defence and midfield and exploiting them. Diaby and Havertz in particular.
Is Dragovic, who I mentioned in the build-up to the game. Spent some time at Leicester City, for those of you who follow the Premier League, on loan, of course. All over the top there in search of Kai Havertz. He's got it on this left-hand side. Looks up. Looks to deliver. Wins a corner for his side. I don't know, the flag's gone up. Certainly looked offside at first glance. Just going to confirm with the replay. Oh, that's awfully tight, but I think it's just about the right call.
Yes. Part of why he's so difficult to defend against, because he's capable of coming deep and interchanging possession, but he also likes to run in behind. He's one of the most versatile young attackers in European football at the moment, and that's why Leverkusen are able to play him as a striker when his more natural position is perhaps keeper, because he gives you those different options.
Certainly looks a player based on this first 24 minutes or so. You can understand why so many are talking about him, why he's being heavily linked with a move away from Bayer Leverkusen as Monchengladbach look to create something of their own here. Here is Ben Sabani. We were talking in the build-up about his attacking prowess. He's played a ball in behind there for Alassane player, but he took it under control. I think he's been penalised there. Not sure if it's been given as an offside or for a foul. The defender certainly got in front of him. Then Bender got there, made the clearance, and then Alassane player just came into the back of him. Nothing malicious, but it certainly was clumsy.
Difficult situation though. Player did well to get on the ball, but his first touch is always going to be a hard one there. A lot of Leverkusen defenders, that he really needs to cushion the ball closer to his body to have any chance of getting a shot away. Because it bounced just a yard away from him, the defender was able to get in front of him quite comfortably.
Here's Kai Havertz once more as Bayer Leverkusen come forward. Here's Bellarabi. He's got 4-5 players around him. Manages to squeeze a ball out of the danger area to Dragovic. Out on this left-hand side now. Delivered in left-footed by Sinkgraven. And it's met by Stefan Leiner's head. And it'll go out for a Bayer Leverkusen corner. 25 minutes played here. And they look the most likely to strike next, despite having taken the lead, don't they?
They do. They've done very well. They're looking very threatening in the attacking phase. It's that ability to get forward quickly, but then when they get into the final third, they're very creative. They like one-on-one situations, and you see how creative they are with the way that they find spaces to play around defenders.
Corner will be delivered, left-footed outswinger towards that far post. Is met by the head of Aranguiz. Bender swings a right boot at it, but it's way over the bar. Wild effort from Bender. Goal scoring is not really Sven Bender's thing.
No. He's been a great midfielder over the years, and now he's kind of transitioned in a deeper role with that auxiliary defender, almost defender come midfielder role for Leverkusen. Again, that's something that Peter Bosz really likes because it gives him tactical flexibility.
Here's Stefan Leiner for Borussia Monchengladbach, charging down this right-hand side. Diaby's tracked him back though. Admittedly, I've not seen much of Diaby, Moussa Diaby, this season, or any season in fact, but he certainly looks like a really hard worker and reminds me a little bit of Sadio Mane in the way that he does get back and help the team, but he's also explosive in that final third.
Yeah, similar movements. He's another one who's been heavily linked to a move to the Premier League. I believe I saw Arsenal at one point linked to him. But I believe it's likely that he'll stay for at least one more season at Leverkusen before he does look to make a move. Leverkusen are one of those teams where they're a transition team that players sign for and then spend time to develop.
They've got a promising situation here. It was 4-on-4 at one point. More defenders have got back now. Referees played advantage as Havertz was fouled on the edge of the box. Bellarabi dances past his man, fires it low across the goal. Jan Sommer blocks it with his foot and it's gone out for a Bayer Leverkusen throw-in on that far side. But Monchengladbach just look really sleepy, really lackadaisical in that back line.
Yeah, they're missing Dennis Zakaria, one of the midfielders who I believe has picked up an injury at the moment. He's the midfielder who would be that defensive screen for the defensive line. So Tobias Strobel's in his place at the moment. Strobel's a good player, functional player, but he's not as good as Zakaria. He's not as good as Neuhaus either. So I think they're struggling just to control those transitions and to deny Leverkusen the space to play into.
All played over the top there in search of Alassane player, but it was well overhit and he might have just strayed offside there anyway. Here's Daily Sinkgraven for Bayer Leverkusen. Charles Aranguiz, the Chilean international, of course, a two-time Copa America winner. Part of that brilliant Chile side. Dominated South American football for a while. Don't forget, guys, hit that like button if you are watching us via the Hot Mic app. If you're on YouTube, why not come join us on the app and you can sync your television pictures with our commentary. You can enjoy a more analytical commentary on this game between Borussia Monchengladbach and Bayer Leverkusen. Lee Scott providing expert analysis live. You're not going to get that anywhere else. Here's Tobias Strobel, plays it out to the right-hand side. Stefan Leiner switches the play in search of Ben Sabini. Can he make an impact on this game? We talked him up in the build-up. No fault of his own, but he's not had much joy on that left-hand side so far, approaching the half-hour mark. Just see Alassane player there, just dropping that little bit deeper. Try and get involved, try and get on the ball.
That's the pass that Gladbach like to play. They like that angled, diagonal-driven pass.
Just see Diaby there, looking to pick out Bellarabi on that far side, but it was cut out. Sommer putting himself under incredible pressure there. Taking risks at the back. Can't afford to do that when the likes of Kai Havertz and Bellarabi are around. Here's Matthias Ginter. Long diagonal ball in search of Thuram.
Leverkusen look to have moved into a slight rest phase. They're not pressing quite as high as they were in the early phase of the game, but expect to see them ramp up the pressure in the centre halves again soon. You can see them all sitting off there.
Brilliant there from Demirbay to Diaby, crowded out in the end, and he's won a free kick. He's done really, really well there. Here's Bender dropping back into that defence, playing it out to the right-hand side for Weiser. Aranguiz, the Bayer Leverkusen number 20, 31 years old now. As Hradeki's long crossfield pass there ends up going out for a Borussia Monchengladbach throw-in midway inside the Bayer Leverkusen half. And there's some Leverkusen fans there as well in cardboard cutout form. There you go. It looks like what's a family there. 5 or 6 of them. They've made the trip via Royal Mail or whatever the equivalent is in Germany. Here is Matthias Ginter in possession now. It's all a little bit slow at the moment. Jan Sommer on the ball here. Strikes me as the type of goalkeeper who's very confident with the ball at his feet, Jan Sommer.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen the difference between Sommer and Hradecki already. Sommer almost likes to invite pressure before playing around it, while Hradecki tries to play a little bit quicker before the pressure comes. But neither of them have been great in picking out their men so far.
Interestingly, there just a moment ago, a few seconds ago, Jan Sommer was in possession of the ball, and he was further up the field than his two central defenders.
Yeah. That's
It,
something we're seeing more and more now in modern football, though defenders dropping on that deep line so they can have time and possession, especially against teams that are likely to press them high and aggressively. Goalkeepers are becoming auxiliary outfield players almost.
Absolutely right. It does. It
Hradecki's
does have
more of
its.
a
It does have its risks, doesn't it? But when it works,
oh,
it
absolutely.
works.
Yes, when it works, when you get a player, a goalkeeper who's capable of doing that, which more and more now that are coming through the system, young goalkeepers are being developed to be able to play in that fashion more than anything else. The old-fashioned shot stopper, which is what Hradecki of Leverkusen is, that's kind of less in vogue now than it used to be, and that's likely to see something we see impact on football over the next decade or two.
Free kick for Bayer Leverkusen inside the centre circle. Demir Bay plays it out to that right hand side. Weiser flicks it on Bellarabi's just strayed slightly offside. Interestingly, bit of a personal story. The first ever football match I ever attended was a Borussia Monchengladbach game, actually.
Really?
It was Arsenal 2, Borussia Monchengladbach 3 in 1996 at Highbury in the UEFA Cup. They knocked us
And
out over two legs.
they should have supported Monchengladbach after that, Harry.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. But I remember at the time they had Stefan Effenberg in the midfield. What a player he was. Fantastic
Yes,
player.
he was. He was. Not a midfielder that would do well today. I don't think he didn't have that ability to change pace and to move very quickly. But in terms of passing, Effenberg was a cut above at the time.
Absolutely. Good memories. Well, not great memories, good memories. If Arsenal had won, it would have been great. Here's Matthias Ginter in possession just on the halfway line. That's enough about me. Let's talk about Borussia Mönchengladbach and Bayer Leverkusen. 1-0 to the visitors at the moment. Just over 10 minutes plus stoppage time remaining in this first half as Marcus Thuram looks to get a better advisor on that left hand side for Mönchengladbach, the right for Bayer Leverkusen, but the flag's gone up there. I don't think he was offside there, looking at Sinkgraven's position on that left hand side.
No, certainly looks onside. Perhaps another strange decision from the linesman there. But we see Gladbach now with those passes back towards, they're going deeper and deeper into their own half. They're trying to pull Leverkusen towards them. But at the moment, Leverkusen are quite sensibly keeping compact in their defensive shape, and they're denying the space for those vertical passes that Mönchengladbach like to play. That's likely to be a deliberate move from Peter Bosz, because normally we would see Leverkusen chase after the ball almost non-stop.
We've seen a couple of dodgy decisions from that linesman on this near side. Early doors, a couple of questionable ones. Of course, we don't have the greatest of angles to be able to tell all the time, but based on the replays that we've seen, looks as though he's got a couple just slightly wrong.
It certainly does.
Also, don't forget we'll be covering Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich on Tuesday. It's an early evening kickoff. It's a 5:30 p.m. kickoff. Myself and Lee Scott will be bringing you live commentary and analysis of that one, and we're expecting a brilliant game between these two huge clubs. Der Klassiker, they call it in Germany. Here's Weiser on this right-hand side coming forward for Bayer Leverkusen. Bellarabi making a movement in front of him. Finds him. Bellarabi looks to cut it back across the penalty area, but it's cut out. Thuram's come back to help his team out there. Overcrowded. And Tapsoba had come all the way up the field there to get involved. And as a result of his involvement, Bayer Leverkusen have the ball back. They've been forced back now. But again, they look the more dangerous. They look the more menacing. They've had more possession than the home side. 58% so far, to be specific. Here's Aaron Geith in the centre circle. Out to this left-hand side where Daley Sinkgraven has come forward. Dragovic into Tapsoba. The Weiser now. Ball in the channel. Bellarabi gets on it. Lays it off back to the right back who stayed forward. Bellarabi, opportunity to cross, delivers it into the penalty area. Not sure who he was aiming for or who he thought was making that run.
I think that's always going to be what's held Mitchell Weiser back over the course of his career. He's always been a player who has the ability to get up and support the attack. His pace is great. He stretches defenders by making those late runs beyond the attacking players that get behind the defensive line. But then the final ball's always kind of been lacking a little bit. And then we saw that again there. That was a good position. Leverkusen had done well, sustained a period of possession, but then he just gave away the ball.
Here's Diaby now. Got a few Monchengladbach players there for company, as he has had every time he's been in possession, by the way. They've obviously identified him as somebody who carries a great threat in this Bayer Leverkusen side, and they're doing their best, team in white, to prevent him getting free, to prevent him creating anything of note.
He's the kind of player that PSG in France developed really well, that he's almost two-footed, very good, very calm in possession, likes to beat a man one-on-one, but he also has got a final ball. It's just a shame that they can't find pathways into the first team for these young players, and they always tend to move on.
When they've got Kylian Mbappe and Neymar to beat, it's not always going to be easy, is it?
Yeah, exactly. You can understand it, but to a point, I think that fans of the club would almost like to see these young players given more first-team minutes to prevent them from moving to clubs like Leverkusen, who are obviously identifying talented players and be able to pick them up from there.
Absolutely. Here's Aaron Geith for Bayer Leverkusen now. Tapsoba holding off the challenge of Thuram there, but Thuram's nicked it. Apologies, that was player, and he's looked to play in Thuram. Good work from the Borussia Monchengladbach centre forward. Here come the home side, Hoffman. Thuram, who's popped up on the right now. Hoffman delivers into the penalty area. Tapsoba gets ahead to it. Diaby took it under control and was fouled. Around about 15 yards outside of his own penalty area. Don't forget, if you're watching us via the Hot Mic app, hit that like button. And of course, you can share the broadcast with all your friends and family. Don't forget also, the Total Football Analysis magazine from June is going weekly. Is that right, Lee?
It is, yeah. We've gone twice monthly so far. In the last month, we had 2 out in May, and now this has been made that we're going to go weekly from June. So expect 4 magazines in June. No change in the price. Just sign up via the website, and you'll get your subscription to the website and to the magazine as normal.
Brilliant stuff. Do head over to totalfootballanalysis.com. Get yourself signed up, and you'll get some great tactical analysis pieces in that magazine, which has gone from when I joined up with you guys, it was monthly. It's only been a few weeks and it's already gone to weekly, so shows you the progress and the way the thing is developing. So do head over. Subscription price has not changed, which is great. Here's player with an opportunity to get the ball in the box. He's won a corner for Gladbach.
That was better from Gladbach, a little bit more possession of the ball as they moved through the thirds and allowed players to get up in supporting positions. They're just still struggling to find that final pass across the penalty area.
Corner's going to be taken by Jonas Hoffman. Right-footed, delivered into the penalty area, cut out at the near post. That's a really disappointing delivery. Shot from range. Keeper spilt it. What's going on here? There's a mess in the penalty area there. It's eventually cleared away. Lucas Radecki just couldn't hold on to that shot. Monchengladbach players following in on the rebound, but fortunately for Leverkusen, they weren't able to turn it in. But Lucas Radecki's got to do better there, hasn't he, Lee?
He has, and Radecki normally has a very safe pair of hands. It's unusual to see the ball bounce off him in that manner. Again, it's a shot that didn't really carry much threat in terms of whether it was going to be a goal or not. He tried to bend it into the far corner, but Radecki, it was quite close to his body. Radecki does well, actually, to get himself back up again, to block the follow-in from the Gladbach players. He
does. I was just going to say that, just watching the replay. He's done really well with his leg there. Delivery comes into the penalty area. It's headed clear from Hoffman's free kick. But yeah, I was just going to say that. He's done really, really well there with his right leg to almost prevent the ball rolling into the path of Rami Ben Sabani, who was there waiting to pounce. So in the end, he sort of redeemed himself, but he's still got to hold that at the first instance, in my opinion, anyway.
Oh, certainly does. We've seen a little bit less of Kai Havertz in the last few minutes. He seems to have faded out the game a little bit, which he does do from time to time. That's possibly one of the knocks on him. He's not always involved, but again, he's a constant danger in transition, so expect to see him come up again in possession soon.
Here is Stefan Leiner. We're seeing a little bit of life in Borussia Monchengladbach, though, in these last few moments. Just signs that they're starting to get back into this game.
Yeah, and I think that'll be the trigger that we'll see Leverkusen start to press more aggressively. Now that Gladbach seem to have a little bit more control in the centre, I expect to see more pressure exerted to prevent that.
So a ball played over the top there in search of Alassane player, but Hradecky was right on the edge of his penalty area to gather that. Lucas Hradecky's had a busier last 2 or 3 moments than he has had for the 40 minutes before that, I would say.
Certainly has. He'll just have to calm down a little bit after that, but goalkeepers tend to have the ability mentally to put things behind them. They have to have, I suppose, in that position.
Absolutely. So often when they make a mistake, it leads to a goal. Here's Strobel. Ball in behind there. I think it's Jonas Hoffmann, who just strayed offside there, frustratingly. You can see he's moved out to that left-hand side temporarily. Thuram is occupying the position on the right for now. You can see it just now as well. In the stoppage in play, you can see that they've not swapped back. It's obviously a deliberate ploy, at least for the short term, perhaps. We'll see Thuram get a little bit more joy on this right-hand side with Daily Sinkgraven pushing forward the way he has been.
Yeah, Thuram tends to move narrow. He tends to play in the half spaces or try to combine centrally with the striker anyway, so he doesn't tend to stretch the width by staying in the wide areas. But expect if Sinkgraven goes forward, you will see Thuram making those runs in behind that space and try to pull the Leverkusen defenders out into areas they don't want to defend in. That's the key, really, for players like Thuram in wide positions. They're not traditional wingers, they're more forward players, so their role and their tendencies in possession are very different.
Be interesting to see how Sinkgraven adapts now for these next few moments, whether he will push forward as much as he has been in the earlier stages, or whether he'll just say, I'm going to sit back for a moment as Leverkusen come forward here. Dinked ball in search of the RB there, but the ball bounces and finds its way back to the goalkeeper. Just want to say a big hello to those of you currently tuned in with us via the Hot Mic app, in particular Jonathan, David, Corey, and I only say those guys because your names are coming up. So if you are watching us and you haven't left a comment, please do let us know what you think of the commentary. Interact with us. We're happy to take your questions and discuss some of your observations live during this game as Leverkusen come forward once more. It's Kai Havertz with another opportunity. It's off the bar. It's fallen to Demabe and he's missed it. Demabe has missed it somehow. We're just watching it again. Dinked ball over the top. Kai Havertz left it first. Then he decided to go for it after Diaby left it. It fell to Kerem Demirbay. And that is incredible defending from Nico Elvedi to get his leg in the way and just divert that onto the crossbar. What a
pure
block.
Pure instinct there to get across there to block the ball. There's nothing, you can't teach that. That's just a defender knowing they have to throw themselves in the way of the ball. We saw this time though, Kai Havertz was a little bit slower to react. He tried to leave the ball to Diaby, but again, when he did get on the ball, that was an excellent attempt to hit off the bar.
Delivery into the penalty area, headed clear at the near post, and apologies for butchering Demirbay's name there in the heat of the moment. Monchengladbach player's gone down there thinking he's going to get a free kick. Hoffmann, he's put his hand on the ball to stop it, and the referee's blown the other way. No foul in his view. Kerem Demirbay should have scored there. Leverkusen should be 2 goals to the good. A lifeline for Borussia Monchengladbach right on the stroke of half-time. Some excellent defending from Nico Elvedi. How important will that be in the overall result today?
potentially huge. I mean, 2-0 just before half-time changes the game state completely and changes the way that Gladbach are going to have to come out in the second half to react. They're going to have to react differently anyway. We're going to have to see a change, I think, from Gladbach and how they're trying to attack. At the moment, Leverkusen look very comfortable dealing with their threat. It'll be interesting what Marco Rose does at half-time, but expect to see more of the same for Leverkusen. More possession, more verticality, and more attacking movement.
Brilliant stuff. It's half time at Borussia Park. It's Borussia Monchengladbach 0, Bayer Leverkusen 1. Kai Havertz's goal, the difference so far. But they went so close to doubling their lead right on the stroke of half time. And but for some excellent defending from Nico Elvedi, they would have. We'll be back in just a few moments. We're going to take a short 5-minute break. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Keep the stream running. Go and get yourselves a quick drink, and we'll be back in just a few minutes to discuss what we've seen in the first half and look ahead to the second period. We'll be back in a moment. Good afternoon and welcome back to our live coverage of the Bundesliga fixture between Borussia Monchengladbach and Bayer Leverkusen. The visitors currently lead by a 1-0 thanks to Kai Havertz. He opened the scoring for Bayer Leverkusen, my apologies, and went close when he struck the crossbar just on the stroke of half time. But his teammate Kerem Demirbay went even closer and his effort was blocked right on the goal line pretty much by Nico Elvedi. To prevent Peter Bosch's side doubling their lead right on the stroke of half time. Let's have a look at the other Bundesliga results from the games taking place at the moment. Of course, last night it was Hertha Berlin 4, Union Berlin 0. We covered that game live, so thanks to everyone who joined us for that. Elsewhere today it's Freiburg 0, Werder Bremen 1. Leonardo Bittencourt with the goal for the visitors there. It's SC Paderborn 1, Hoffenheim 1. Robert Skov opened the scoring for the visitors and Dennis Srbeny levelled things just 5 minutes later. Elsewhere, the game that is interesting, those two involved here where we are at the Borussia Park, was between Wolfsburg and Borussia Dortmund. The visitors Dortmund lead 1-0 thanks to Rafael Guerrero. And of course, later on, Bayern Munich take on Eintracht Frankfurt. The games tomorrow: Schalke versus Augsburg, Mainz versus RB Leipzig, and Cologne entertain Fortuna Düsseldorf at home. Lee, we've got a couple of questions from those tuned in on the Hot Mic app. A big thanks to those of you who are either listening, and of course to those who are communicating with us as well. Big thanks to every single one of you, and for whoever it was that tipped us, thank you very much. You can tip us if you're enjoying the commentary via the Hot Mic app. Not that you have to, don't get me wrong, but thank you to that person that has tipped us. It is anonymous, so we can't thank you by name, unfortunately. Daniel says, loving the commentary. What would be the trigger for Bender to think more about recovering into a back three? I'd love to hear a little bit more about him pressing into that space in front. Does this mean they essentially defend with the two athletic centre-halves?
They can. I think we're seeing more Bender playing as an auxiliary centre-half at the moment, just in standard as a part of a back three. He's a player who's more likely to step out into the midfield. Now, that's likely to happen in periods of sustained possession for Leverkusen. So we talked about a point in the first half where you saw Tapsoba, Dragovic and Bender were all encamped in the Gladbach half. When Leverkusen are doing that, they're trying to control the space and push Gladbach deeper and deeper into they're almost trying to flatten the defensive block of Mönchengladbach to make it easier to either play around them or play over the defensive block, and that's just a way to prevent Gladbach from pressing and being able to break out of that block. When you see that happen, you'll see Bender take up a more advanced position, almost as a midfielder as opposed to a centre half. Now, the danger then is that Gladbach will win possession back and look to transition quickly into the attack. When that happens, Tapsoba and Dragovic are much more likely to be able to recover position. Bender's not quite got the athletic ability that they do. But when they're defending in general, when they're defending deep, you're seeing Bender push into that back line to form a back three, and then Tapsoba, more so perhaps than Dragovic at the moment, is defending out in the wide areas. He's quite happy to be pulled out wide to go with Marcus Thuram or to cover Ben Salabi as he pushes forward on that side. So you're seeing the fluidity in the defensive line, and that's all kind of triggered by the different positions that Bender's able to take up.
Another question that we've had come in during the break is from Magnus Nordman. He says, what determines whether Leverkusen defend opponents build up by pressing or by defending in a high block and more focus on blocking?
Normally, with Peter Bosch at Leverkusen, it's press, press, press. He's a coach who likes to play in the front foot with and without the ball, so we would normally see him push up. But he's also obviously also aware that Mönchengladbach look for those driven vertical passes, not long balls. They look to play the ball low, just off the ground, into the feet of the forward players, and then create advanced platforms from there. So by dropping off the central defenders when they're in possession a little bit and not pressing as high, Leverkusen are being more compact and they're preventing Gladbach from being able to find those passes. Expect to see, as I mentioned at the end of the first half there, Gladbach were becoming a little bit more controlled with possession, so that the midfielders and defenders were interacting a little bit more and the ball was being progressed forward more. Expect that to be the main trigger in the second half for Leverkusen going back in their high pressing style. but certainly there are periods of the game you'll see them go after the ball, and then you'll see them drop off slightly, and that's just a way that Peter Bosch can almost keep Gladbach guessing, if you like, instead of them thinking that they have to play quickly all the time because they're going to be under pressure. They don't know when the pressure is going to come, but when it triggers, Leverkusen are one of the most efficient pressing teams in Europe.
What have you made of Borussia Monchengladbach so far, Lee? They've started the game really slowly, in my opinion. They've looked really lackadaisical at the back at times. They've allowed Kai Havertz to pull off and make runs and not always followed him. We've seen that Leverkusen have, of course, had the best opportunities so far. But there were signs, weren't they, at the end, of that first half that they were starting to get back into the game. Are you expecting them to come out with a little bit more energy and a little bit more intense and purpose in the start of this second period?
You would hope so. That the problem that Gladbach are having in the first half is that they like to play quickly in transition. They like to play those vertical passes that we talk about that go from back to front into the feet of the front men very quickly, and that's kind of where they play from. But because Leverkusen have been quite clever in this match, they've switched from a back four last week to more of a back three this week. That's denying those spaces for Gladbach, to play into. So the defensive block from Leverkusen is almost counteracting the way that Gladbach were looking to play. That's why we saw them start to involve the central midfielders in possession a little more towards the end of the first half. It's a reaction to that defensive block of Leverkusen to try to find a way through. In terms of their defensive work, you're right that they've struggled a little bit with Kai Havertz's movement. But that's because he is so good at finding those little pockets, almost like we saw Julian Brandt for Dortmund last week. He's got those same kind of movements in deep areas, as I said, very much like Roberto Firmino at Liverpool, his ability to drop in deep. But then we've seen his pace as well, and his ability to stretch the lines, as well as the creativity of the likes of Bellarabi, Demirbay and Diaby in possession. So really, I think that Gladbach have got a lot in their hands in the second half. They're going to have to try and impose themselves on the game a little bit more and find solutions the defensive block that Leverkusen are put in front of them. But that, of course, gives Leverkusen opportunities in transition, and that'll be the balance and the dynamic of the second half.
Absolutely be interesting to see how this game develops. Of course, Bayer Leverkusen lead by a 0-0. Kai Havertz goal is the difference at this moment in time. Monchengladbach need to do something. They need to improve in that second period, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not they can do that. Don't forget, we'll be covering Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich on Tuesday evening. It's a 5:30 p.m. kickoff. That's UK time, and that'll be 6:30, I believe, Central European time. And wherever you are in the world, just do a quick Google search because I can't remember all the time zones, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll be bringing you live coverage of that one as well. So we look forward to that. Of course, we brought you Hertha Berlin versus Union Berlin last night, and you can listen back to that commentary via the Total Football Analysis YouTube channel if you wish to, or via the Hot Mic. You can listen back on there. Replays are available, and you can listen back to what we had to say whilst we were covering that game live. Maybe we're going to see some substitutions now. We don't know just yet, but it's been common, hasn't it, since the Bundesliga's kicked off again, that we've seen teams make changes at the break.
Yeah, the ability to use 5 substitutions is an interesting concept. Obviously, it's mainly due to conditioning issues and not wanting players to become injured. So, but some coaches will use it from a tactical point of view. It's worth noting as well that we haven't really seen Lars Stindl in the game since he came on. Breel Mbolo obviously going off injured for Gladbach in that first half. Stindl struggled to affect the game from that 10 role. We haven't really seen him pick up possession. He seems to be finding it hard to find spaces to almost affect the game in that area.
You're absolutely right about Stindl. I don't even think I've said his name in that first period, which tells you the story, doesn't it?
Yeah, compared to Mbolo, who was very active before he went off. Obviously, he was coming back to help his team in the defensive phase, but he was also looking promising going forward. And we were looking forward to seeing how he interacted with player, with Thuram in particular, and maybe that dynamic slightly changed things for Gladbach and made it more difficult in terms of the way that they were planning to play.
Absolutely. The teams are back on the field now. We're almost ready to kick off the second half. Borussia Monchengladbach will be attacking from right to left now, as you look on your screens. Of course, in all white, if you're just joining us, they trail by a 0-0. Kai Havertz has put Bayer Leverkusen in front. Thuram and Stindl will kick off for Borussia Monchengladbach here. Thuram walking away from the ball now.
You can see there they keep the clear position in the back five for Leverkusen, so you can see Bender in the centre of it. That's his default position in this half. But expect, as I say, to see him step forward a little bit more when Leverkusen are in sustained periods of possession.
We're on the way. Tapsoba thought about letting it run back to his goalkeeper there, realised it didn't have enough on it to get there and ended up dealing with it. But Monchengladbach have one possession back high up the field here with Rami Bensebaini, who's been very quiet in the first half. Very, very dangerous player. 5 goals and 2 assists in the Bundesliga this season from just 12 appearances, highlighting how effective he can be in that final third if he gets the service. Got a question coming through the hot mic app. I'm going to put this one to you, Lee, because you are our tactics man. It's from Corey. He says, is there precedent for Gladbach's offense being as adaptive as their defense? They've looked completely overmatched.
I think that Gladbach are a team that in the offensive phase that there tends to be a lot of interchanging of positions. Marcus Thuram and Alassane Plea especially, they will tend to move between positions and switch. You'll see Hoffman on the right stay very much on that side wide. He's more of a winger, whereas Thuram on the other side is an inverted forward, if you like. He's a player who likes to move into central areas in possession. But I expect to see that more in the second half, I think, as they try to find ways to pull the Gladbach, the Leverkusen defenders out of position.
The RB just stretching his legs there early on in this second half. His cross was headed clear, but Leverkusen come again. Here's Bellarabi on this right-hand side. Kai Havertz on his left foot fires goalwards. Deflected into the path of Stefan Leiner, who clears it as far as Thuram. Around about the halfway line. He'll turn and run at this Bayer Leverkusen side now. Driving through 3-4 Bayer Leverkusen players. Marcus Thuram puts it low across the penalty area. And there was Edmund Tapsoba to make a vital interception. Alassane Plea was waiting there. Brilliant from Thuram, though. The way he skipped past those players.
That's the ability he has. We talked about his physique in the first half, but he's actually extremely good in tight areas. His ball control and ball manipulation allow him to move the ball through groups of players like that, and then he has the acceleration to create separation. It was a difficult pass, but Tapsoba was covering well around the back there to provide cover and obviously to win the ball for his team.
Ball played out to this right-hand side. Stefan Leiner's got forward for Monchengladbach. Cuts it back. Dinked towards the far post. Here comes Bensebaini. He's got a chance to deliver left-footed. His cross is deflected and Monchengladbach have a corner. 48th minute. Tapsoba making the vital interception again.
Been impressed with Tapsoba today. He's been very active in the defensive phase, but he's also used the ball well.
His reading of the game has been pretty impressive as well. He's always been on hand to deal with any dangerous situations created by the home side. Here comes the corner, right-footed towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Monchengladbach looking to make something of it, but the ball ends up with Radecki, and he throws it out now as Leverkusen look to come forward, look to build a counter-attack. Monchengladbach have had time now, though, to get most of their players, at least, behind the ball. Here's the ball in behind for Sinkgraven. He looked to cross it. It looked like it came back off him, though, after the defender's intervention. Just having a look again at it. Stefan Leiner got back, made the slide tackle. Unfortunately for him, the ball cannons back off of Daily Sinkgraven, and it's gone out for a Bayer Leverkusen goal kick. Borussia Mönchengladbach goal kick. My apologies.
We can see already that Leverkusen look like they're going back to pressing high again. They were man marking very high up the players for Gladbach as they look to take the goal kick.
I don't know if you've just seen that as well, Lee, but there is a cardboard cutout of Jan Sommer in amongst the fans.
He probably paid for that himself.
Incredible. Incredible. Mönchengladbach winning the ball really high up the pitch here. It's an effort from the edge of the box there from Rani Bensebaini. Just dragged it wide with that left foot. Just sliced across the ball. But again, we're seeing that poor distribution from Lukas Radecki.
Yeah, he doesn't suit this role at all in terms of being a goalkeeper. I think that's possibly a position that Leverkusen will look to build upon in the transfer window. With this Peter Bosz style, he likes that risk taking. Say similar to Pep Guardiola at Manchester City, he doesn't mind risk taking in those areas because he knows the benefits. But obviously, when it goes wrong, your opposition get a real chance on goal.
Absolutely, and that was just such a casual pass, wasn't it? So loose, and that just can't happen at the top level. Unfortunately for Bayer Leverkusen, they've not been made to pay. Here's Tapsoba in possession. Opens his body up and plays it out to the right-hand side to Weiser. Havertz dropping that little bit deeper again. Weiser inside. Symeou taken down by Daily Sinkgraven. Takes a touch. Wins a throw-in.
Graven's technique's fantastic. You can see that he was brought up at Ajax and he's played for Ajax. He's got that ability to control the ball with a variety of angles and different parts of his body. He just kills it dead and then looks to play.
Here is Mitchell Weiser on this right-hand side. Tobias Strobel in possession now, 30 years old, 9 appearances in the Bundesliga this season. You made the point earlier that he wouldn't ordinarily be in the starting lineup.
No, he's dropped right into the defensive line there as well. He's obviously looking to split the defenders, allow the two centre-backs to move wider to try and get some ball progression.
Here's Thuram now. Effort at goal. What a goal that is. That is a magnificent finish from Marcus Thuram. Fantastic stuff. Borussia Monchengladbach are back on level terms. It's his 8th Bundesliga goal of the season. A brilliant ball in behind and Hradecky with absolutely no chance there. We just see the replay.
We talked about the fact that we had the question of whether Gladbach were a little bit more adaptive in their attacking phase, and there you see the answer. Now Thuram's through the middle, he's affecting play. But the whole play was built in the first instance by Tobias Strobel taking that deeper position in the defensive line, allowing a more clean line for ball progression. When the ball came across there, it was a good ball into the penalty area, but that's what Thuram gives you. Doesn't even need to take a touch, he just allows the ball to run across him and then strikes it beautifully. A lot of power in the bottom corner across the goalkeeper. Textbook finish from a player who's definitely developing well and is going to continue to develop in this Gladbach side.
Absolutely. It's his first opportunity today, and my word, has he taken it. And you saw Alassane player just pull out to that left-hand side, look up, pick him out, and like you said, exemplary technique from the forward.
Like they're just waiting for VAR, are they, to make sure that the goal's going to stand, but it looks fine from here.
It looks clearly onside to me, but just seeing, he lets the ball bounce, and it's all about keeping it down, isn't it, in that situation? The technique to hit right through the ball, keep it low, and go back across the goalkeeper. It's exactly as a textbook would describe it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pure technique, and that's what you coach young players at the very early ages when you're teaching them how to strike a ball. It's about keeping your body over the ball, staying calm, and just guiding the ball to where you want it to go. But we talked about the fact that play into Thuram would start to interchange a little bit more in positions, again. And that's what we saw.
Marcus Thuram, he's through on goal once again. Oh, and it's a good effort, but it's saved in the end by Lucas Hradecky. Just looked like he lost his balance in the vital moment there. Marcus Thuram, he was under pressure from the defender. Monchengladbach are not happy with that. They feel like there was more in that as they come once again. Still complaining to the referee. Just see that again. It was Dragovic who got back, and you've spoken about his athleticism.
Yeah.
Not enough for a foul there for me, but he certainly has got an arm around.
I think it was borderline. He was getting close towards the point where you start to feel that. But Thuram, again, using his physicality to hold off the defender as much as he can.
Here are Leverkusen now. Can they get back in front? Bellarabi's shot just dragged wide. He's caught late there, though. And the referee's pointed to the spot. It's a Bayer Leverkusen penalty just moments after he denied Borussia Monchengladbach one at the other end. Bellarabi in behind there. Kai Havertz is passed through. He takes a touch. He drags it completely wide. The challenge was made there by Nico Elvedi, who made that vital block in the first half. It is late. He doesn't get the ball, and the referee, as a result, has pointed to the spot.
Elvedi was nowhere near the ball there. It was a very rash challenge. Of course, you're trying to put the striker off, but there's a fine line. But the key to that movement was Kai Havertz, again taking up that deeper position, almost in the 10 role. He's dropped off the front line, collects possession, and then the through ball was perfect to allow the striker to run through on goal. Obviously, the finish was wide of the goal, and they're checking VAR, but I don't see this being overturned.
And pretty often, though, you do see these situations happen where the shot is taken and the challenge comes in after, and often it's overlooked because the player was allowed to get the shot away. So it is good to see a referee, in my opinion, pulling it up because it is a foul. Let's see what the VAR decision is going to be. Like you said, I'll be very surprised too if they were to overturn this. He's going over to the screen to take a look. Corey says horrible call in the comments section. I think it was the right call. Certainly catches Bellarabi after the ball's gone.
Yeah.
Referees.
I mean, of course, the shot's gone in, but remember that the ball's still in play when that shot's taken.
Absolutely.
The ball's still in play when the tackle comes in. If that tackle had happened at the other side of the penalty area in the same movement, the same moment, then that would have been a Stonewall penalty. I don't see how it could be any other way. Absolutely. Yes, the shot's away, but then to tackle that late, you have to be penalised.
The referee is currently watching it on his pitch side monitor as we await the final decision.
And this is what the Bundesliga do well in terms of VAR. Referees are more likely and more willing to go and take those decisions to watch the footage themselves to make up their own minds.
Just going to see what the referee's going to do here. He's walking back onto the pitch. He's not given any indication yet of what his decision will be. He's pointed to the spot. It looks like the penalty's been given.
Yes, I think that's the right call.
Bayern Leverkusen have the opportunity to get back in front just moments after Borussia Monchengladbach pegged them back. It's Kai Havertz who's going to take the penalty. Got the ball in his hands. I'm not sure what the referee is still communicating with his assistants about. Kai Havertz has scored his last 3 Bundesliga penalties.
Difficult situation though. He's been made to wait for a long time.
Already got his 9th goal of the season today. Can he make it 10? Kai Havertz, he does just about. Jan Sommer got a hand to it, but Kai Havertz finds the back of the net, and Bayer Leverkusen are back in front just moments after Marcus Thuram levelled things. A controversial penalty, one that I would have given, but it's clear that Borussia Mönchengladbach aren't particularly happy about it. Havertz is finished left-footed towards the left-hand side. Jan Sommer gets a hand to it, but it's not enough.
Very calm penalty. You see a lot of players nowadays try to stutter or take two movements in their run up to try and make the goalkeeper move first. But Havertz just strolls forward and then plays the ball. It's not right in the corner, and it's at a good height for Sommer, which gives the goalkeeper the opportunity to get there. Just enough power though to carry it into the net. And Kai Havertz again is having a huge impact on this game.
Absolutely.
Not just the goals, it's everything else. He's so key to Leverkusen with those abilities to either stretch behind the defence or come closer to pick up possession. He seems to have everything in his game for a player at that level. And being able to play in the front line now as a striker, we might see that as his position going forward.
You can almost see the anguish in the faces of the cardboard cutouts behind the goal as the ball hits the back of the net. It's Mönchengladbach 1 by Leverkusen 2. His tap sober plays it back to Lucas Radecki, who made a save from Marcus Thuram literally just a moment or so before Bayer Leverkusen went down the other end and won a penalty.
And that's Radecki's strength, his shot stopping, his ability to block the ball the way that we saw him do against Thuram, rather than his ability with the ball at his feet. And at the end of the day, I guess you want your goalkeeper to be able to stand up in those moments and stop the ball going into the net.
Absolutely. Don't forget, if you're watching us via the Total Football Analysis YouTube channel, you can download the Hot Mic app using the promo code TFA2020 and synchronize our commentary with your television pictures. If you're having trouble using the auto sync feature, you can use the manual buttons as well. We're currently on the 59th minute and 15th second.
Leverkusen are pressing high again, trying to deny that space, but Gladbach have played through them this time. Just interesting to see whether they go quickly now. But a poor ball there. You really need the striker to be shown for that ball into feet.
Back pass there towards Jan Sommer. He had to almost take it out of the air acrobatically to control it with his feet. Here come the home side, who may have had the wind taken out of their sails, having just got back on level terms, to then go and concede a penalty the way they did just a moment or so after. Must be really, really frustrating for Marco Rose.
Yeah, and again, we talk a lot in these commentaries about game state and how important it is. At 1-1, the game state changes, and perhaps Leverkusen go a bit forward, a bit more, looking for the goal and create space that Gladbach can exploit. But straight away, Leverkusen were able to get that chance from the penalty kick, and we're back in the same position we were at half time. But Gladbach at least have shown that they do have the capacity to find those chances and spaces to exploit, and they'll hope that they can do more of the same going forward. But the key will be having Thuram and Player be able to take spaces between the lines, collect possession, and then play from there.
Absolutely. Hoffman with the opportunity to get the ball in the box here for Monchengladbach. It's delivered right-footed. It's flicked on towards goal, just over the top of the net. I think it was Ben Sebaini who got his head to that, the Algerian. You see signs of him getting forward a little bit more in this second half, as opposed to that first period where he was pretty much anonymous in my view.
Yeah, he'll keep taking up those positions on the left. That's the key. As Thuram obviously comes inside and interchanges with Player, even in that left-hand role, will play more centrally like Thuram does. The two of them are very similar in terms of their profiles, and that's what creates the space for Ben Sebaini to move forward usually. But Gladbach just struggled to find him in those spaces, perhaps because the defensive structure of Leverkusen was so impressive.
Here's Aaron Geith with a long searching ball forward towards DRB. Can't quite get it under control. Allows Strobel the opportunity to get back and get a foot in. A ball in behind. This time for Thuram once more. You can see he's occupying that position through the middle far more in this second half. And Alassane Player looks to have just not pulled completely to the left, but slightly left of centre. DRB just being shown a yellow card there, the first of the game.
I think they're just trying to find ways to get Thuram into the game more. So by playing him more centrally, he's able to affect the Leverkusen centre-backs a little bit more than he was in the first half, and that's causing them more problems straight away. He's shown his quality already in this half, and they'll be very worried about his ability to break in behind him.
Got another question coming through for you, Lee, via the live viewer chat. It's Corey again. He says, I've watched Leverkusen in the last 2 weeks. Could they compete with Bayern Munich for the Bundesliga title? They look like a complete squad. What are their weaknesses?
They could compete. The problem is that they are usually so... The ideology of Peter Bosz is what we've talked about, his willingness to attack. In the defensive phase, they tend to press high, and that leaves space in behind them. In the attacking phase, they look to attack and commit players forward, and again, that leaves space in behind. That a little bit of rashness. Peter Bosz has often been...
All right, it's offside.
Peter Bosz has often been criticised for almost being too attack-minded and not paying enough attention to the defensive phase. They've taken steps, though, to counter that with the signing of Tapsoba in the winter transfer window from Vitória Guimarães, and you've seen how important he is to them in terms of his ability to read the game and always be in position to make the challenge or make the block. So there are signs that they're starting to adapt their game model a little bit, and going forward, I think if they can keep Kai Havertz beyond this season, then perhaps they can look to really push Bayern next year if they can't this season. But the key will be to keeping the likes of Kai Havertz at the club, because the drop-off from Kai Havertz to the other forwards, Kevin Volland, who's injured, and Lucas Alario, is significant. They're completely different players that don't offer the same skill set, and there aren't many Kai Havertz in world football.
Brilliant stuff. Here's Ben Sebaini looking to get in behind this Bayer Leverkusen defence, but the channel is closed out, and here is Tapsoba in possession. Demir Bay looking to play the ball forward. He's lost it. Here is Thuram once again. Lovely little back flick. It's another opportunity for Monchengladbach. It's another very good save from Lucas Radecki, who was out there quickly to deny Florian Neuhaus.
We spoke before the game about Neuhaus's ability to break beyond the forward line and support the striker, and that's the first time we've really seen it. Great control and a great flick from Thuram to open up the space for Neuhaus there. But again, that is where Radecki is at his strongest, his ability to come out, defeat strikers, and to make blocks like that.
Here comes the corner. It's another Borussia Monchengladbach head to it. I think it was Thuram, but he didn't get the power in it there to trouble the goalkeeper. They've got it again. Here's Hoffman. Ball down the left-hand side. Stood up towards that far post. Thuram's there again. He's really coming to the game in this second half. lays it off to his teammate. It's a shot towards goal. It's been blocked and it's gone out for a corner. But we're just seeing Thuram really have an impact on this game. His awareness there to make that back heel to Florian Neuhaus was excellent. His awareness of what is going on around him is proving to be excellent.
Yeah,
corner's taken short. They've got another chance to get it into the box. Havertz working back there brilliantly. And here come Bayer Leverkusen potentially on the counter-attack. The ball's overhit and Diaby can't get that.
We talk about players like Thuram. You're absolutely right. He's being more effective in the second half. But I like to think of players as having the ability to affect defenders as strikers. So Thuram now, the way that he's playing, more Monchengladbach defenders are having, more Leverkusen defenders are having to pay attention to where he is in the pitch, and that's distracting them from where the ball is, where other players are making their run. So his presence there is making a real impact.
Karim Bellarabi has been replaced for Bayer Leverkusen by Leon Bailey.
Expect to see Bailey come over on the left-hand side. Diaby will go play more on the right now. But again, it's just another attacking presence. We talked about him before the game, and he has the ability to stretch the defence.
Seeing a replay of this incident once more. Thuram taking the chest, showing his physical power and presence to hold off Bender there. Monchengladbach have had 7 attempts at goal, 4 on target in just the last 20 minutes. Compare that to what they done in the first period. You can see there's been a huge improvement.
Yeah, they're really ramping up the pressure.
Bayer Leverkusen had a man over here. Looks like Monchengladbach have got some players back now, though. Here is Diaby. Fires it left-footed low. Jan Sommer keeps hold of it and rolls it out quickly as Monchengladbach look to take advantage of the number of players Bayer Leverkusen have committed forward.
It looks like Bailey's actually playing out on the right-hand side, not the left as I expected. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes with his ability to cut in field or go wide from that area.
Plenty of complaints from those who are inside the stadium. Pretty sure it's not the cardboard cutouts shouting. Although you never know, technology these days. There was talk before the Bundesliga kicked off again about them playing crowd noises in the stadium.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen that yet. We've seen it in the K-League though, where they were playing chants and stuff through the speakers. Not a big fan of that.
No, I think it's a bit too artificial. I mean, it's a strange enough situation as it is without having artificial crowd noises that won't have the ebb and the flow of the match that we would have from a normal crowd. You're almost better like this, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not against, music when a goal goes in or something like that, just to create a bit of atmosphere, but artificial crowd noises is a no-no for me.
Yeah, it's a step too far.
Here come Bayer Leverkusen once more. Stefan Leiner getting forward there. He wins a throw-in, almost in line with the edge of the Bayer Leverkusen penalty area. Brilliant piece of defending there from Dragovic. On the home side, looking to make something happen. It's cleared away by Bender there. Demirbay in Diaby's direction. Cut out there by Ginter. Looks for Thuram. Headed clear. Here's Aaron Geith. Here's Leon Bailey. First opportunity to stretch his legs on this right-hand side. Leon Bailey plays it inside to Kai Havertz. Under the challenge, though, of Tobias Strobel. Done really, really well there to prevent Kai Havertz just skipping past him.
Again, there we see Strobel being the midfielder who moves back towards the defensive line just to help his team there. But that was a good chance in transition for Leverkusen. The ball needs to move a little bit quicker, perhaps. Bailey's just trying to find his way into the game.
Absolutely. And we talk about Tobias Strobel and the fact that he hasn't really played very much this season, but he is a very versatile player. Looking him up prior to the game, it's clear that he's pretty comfortable playing, whether it's defensive midfield, centre-back, or in either of the full-back roles if he has to.
Yeah, he's got that ability to move in and out of positions, which again we've talked about various times. We've done these commentaries so far with the Bundesliga restarting. The ability for coaches to have players who are tactically versatile that can play different positions gives you the chance to be creative mid-game without substitutions.
Ball played across the penalty area there in search of Thuram, but he couldn't quite make contact with it. The angle looked difficult nonetheless, but Marcus Thuram has been a bright light for Borussia Monchengladbach today. And I've heard a lot about him in recent weeks, but I'm seeing it with my own eyes today. He's a very, very impressive young man, 22 years old. 8 Bundesliga goals and 8 assists in this current campaign. Not a bad record for someone who's not essentially an out-and-out striker.
So I don't know if given time he will start to develop it in that role. Sometimes you see that with young players, they first get exposed to first team football in wide areas before gradually moving inside, and that's potentially something we'll see. We know that he's got the physicality, he likes to run in behind, he can hold the ball up, but he can also finish. He's got power and he can find the back of the net, which is obviously imperative for strikers just now.
Just seen Rami Bensebaini getting a yellow card there as well. Incidentally, his 4th of the season. 20 minutes to go here. It's Monchengladbach 1, Bayer Leverkusen 2. Kai Havertz opened the scoring. Marcus Thuram levelled things, and Kai Havertz then from the spot put Bayer Leverkusen back in front. Misplaced pass there by Neuhaus. Don't forget, if you're watching us via the Hot Mic app, smash that like button. Share the broadcast with your friends, with your family. As they look to release Thuram once more. But Edmund Tapsoba was alert to it, as he has been for most of this game today. 21 years old. Burkina Faso international. Ball forward in search of Kai Havertz. Ball dinked forward now by Borussia Monchengladbach. Here's player. They've got the ball inside the penalty area here. It's fired towards goal by Stindl there, but the effort was blocked.
The game's getting stretched out now. It's going to be transitions left, right and centre, I think, going forward for the remainder of the game.
Certainly looks that way as Leverkusen look to release Leon Bailey on this right-hand side, but the pass was overhit. And Sabini takes the throw in. Elvedi lays it off back to Jan Sommer. Probably when he watches that penalty back from Kai Havertz, he'll probably be disappointed he hasn't kept that out. Here's Thuram running in behind. Tapsoba does well again.
Tapsoba has the pace and the power to keep up with Thuram. The same can't be said of the other 2 defenders for Leverkusen. So if I was Marcus Thuram or Marco Rose at the moment, I'd be looking to have him pull onto their shoulders and try and run off at them instead.
And he has at times, to be fair, when he's had joy, he's pulled out to the side where Bender is through the middle, but he's pulled out to that side where Dragovic has been at times. And we saw that incident, didn't we, where he just about got back Dragovic and could have conceded a penalty. So we see that Thuram's got the beating of him. Goalkeeper sends it forward for Bayer Leverkusen. Gladbach have it back. Then Sabini looks to skip past Charles Aaron Geith, but he can't skip past Mitchell Weiser. Interestingly, it appears that the La Liga competition is going to resume in a few weeks' time as well. They said that the Bundesliga has given them a blueprint on how to do it, and so far things have been good.
I think that's likely to be the case for most major leagues that haven't called an end to their season. They'll be watching the Bundesliga now in their second week after resuming, and things seem to be going well. They seem to have found that the model that works.
Absolutely. They deserve a lot of credit for it, because there were those who were up in arms about it. Why are they coming back? It's too early. But you've got to understand that this coronavirus situation is so different in different countries. And Germany was one of the countries that did deal with it from an early stage, and that did manage to keep the death toll down to a minimum. It's still far too many lives to be lost, but you know, in comparison to the likes of the UK and Italy and Spain even, you know, they've dealt with it really, really well, and so they were in a position to consider bringing football back.
Yes, they were, and they've done so well. I mean, they're making sure that everyone's tested, everyone's safe, and if anybody does test positive for coronavirus, they're being isolated away from the rest of the squad. So they're doing it as safely as they can.
Here's Diaby. It's an excellent run. It's a good shot. Sommer saves it. It's come back out there to Demirbay, and he's completely skied the rebound. Just seeing that again as Diaby picks up the ball, drives at the heart of this Borussia Monchengladbach defence, gets the shot away with his right foot. It's low. It's blocked by Sommer. It falls to Demirbay, who just was leaning back and you can assume tried to guide it on target, but he's completely skied that.
I think we're safe to say that was a terrible finish from Timberby. He really should be hitting the target if nothing else. But that's what we talked about from Diaby. He's got that ability to pick the ball up in areas and then he twists and turns and runs at people. He's got really good balance, the ability to change direction very quickly, and that's what lets him put defenders on the back foot and then find space to get the shot away. He's been really, really impressive this season for Leverkusen.
Absolutely. Gladbach have made a change.
Very attacking change. It's Laszlo Benes coming on for Tobias Strobel. So Strobel was the player who was dropping at the defensive line. Benes is much more of an attack-minded player. I expect to see him push forward to try and support Thuram and Player.
15 minutes to go. Gladbach trail by 2-1. Ball flicked on towards Player. Now came Hradeski to deal with it. Leverkusen have lost possession. And Sabaini cuts it back. Free kick given Monchengladbach's way, right on the edge of the penalty area. Just seeing it again. Was caught there. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Just coming together again, clumsy, poor timing. The kind of position where there's no need to make that foul, there's no need to give the free kick away in that area. It gives Gladbach a great chance to actually make something happen now and to affect the game.
A couple of players standing over this. Taken by the left back, swung towards that near post. He tried to almost bend it around the wall. Benes.
It was his first touch that's coming on, and straight away he's had an effort on goal. But that's the kind of ability he has from those areas. A creative passer, somebody who will look to make the game work going forward for Gladbach. So it's a positive move.
Going to see another change here from the home side. It's Marcus Thuram who's gone off. You can only assume that it's a fitness issue because he's been one of their most effective players, in my opinion, and looked like the man most likely.
He has. He's been substituted for Oscar Wendt, who's traditionally a left back, Swedish left back. So perhaps expect Ben Sabani to move forward a little bit more, and Wendt will drop into that left back position.
All in behind there in search of Alassane Player, but he can't get onto the end of it. Lucas Hradeski will gather it. Apologies for Gladbach.
That's a blow, though.
Jesus,
that's a blow for them to be losing. Marcus Thuram, for whatever reason, with 12 minutes to go, was a blow because he was the player who looked like he could affect the game perhaps most. And it remains to be seen exactly where Oscar Wendt will slot in.
He certainly didn't look too disappointed, though, Thuram, which indicates that either he's absolutely knackered or he's carrying a slight knock. Of course, we never know for sure, but we can assume, we can guess. Here is Aaron Geith now for Bayer Leverkusen. Lays it inside to Diaby. Got Sinkrava making a run on the outside. Uses Havertz instead. Leon Bailey shifts it onto his left foot. Fires towards that far post. But it's blocked. Sober's come forward. Dispossessed. Now Monchengladbach have it. Elvedi, the man who gave away the penalty that is currently the difference between the two sides. Suppose you can let him off considering what a fantastic clearance he made in the first half.
Well, he essentially negated that clearance by giving the penalty away, I guess. It's just a strange decision, especially when you see somebody be so calm defensively to then being so rash in the second half.
I mean, going back to that incident again, I certainly think it was a penalty. But I make that point again. We so often see that happen and the penalty isn't given once the ball is gone. So yes. For me, it was refreshing to see that. Maybe it's because I watch too much Premier League football, but that certainly goes on a lot in the Premier League and often unpunished.
Indeed.
Leverkusen have a free kick in a wide area here after Leon Bailey was brought down by Ben Sabini. He is on a yellow card. He's got to be careful. Got away with that. Leverkusen going to make another change. Dragovic is being replaced. Baumgartlinger coming on for Dragovic. Now that is a name that you need to practice if you're not clued up on your German. Here is
traditionally more of a centre midfielder as well, when Dragovic has obviously been playing on the defensive line. So again, it could be a switch tactically. We'll have to wait and see.
And it's 3. Bayer Leverkusen have got another one. It's Bender at the near post, delivered in by Kerem Demirbay, and Bayer Leverkusen have surely put the game beyond doubt now. We just see it again, delivered by Demirbay, left-footed in towards that near post area. It was Bender that got ahead to it. That's a brilliant header. That's fantastic.
It's great body control to be able to arch his back like that to get around the defender who's obviously trying to clear the ball and get his head to the ball. But the key was almost that the run from Tatsoma ahead of him just pulled the defenders out of the way and allowed the flight of the path to get the ball to come through. But that's great control, great header.
Just seeing it again, it's come off his shoulder. He's almost looking to divert it towards that far corner, isn't he? But it comes off of his shoulder. He doesn't know much about it. He'll claim he meant it for sure. But it's Borussia Monchengladbach 1, Bayer Leverkusen 3. And surely now they're at least close to being home and dry here, taking another 3 points as they push for the Champions League qualification positions. Gladbach will lose ground on Borussia Dortmund, who are still winning at Wolfsburg as it stands.
It looks like we're seeing a tactical switch from Leverkusen to a back 4 now, away from the back 3. This is the kind of thing that Peter Bosz likes to do. He likes to keep the opposition guessing, even at this late stage.
Here's Kai Havertz carrying the ball forward. He's got Leon Bailey to his right. He uses him. Bailey, so clearly left-footed, was always looking to shift the ball back onto that left foot. He's been dispossessed, and unfortunately for him, deflection's gone against him, and it's a goal kick.
He's not a player who looks comfortable on the right-hand side, very much more comfortable on the left, which is his natural position. Some wide players like to play on their opposite sides, if you like. Think of Arjen Robben when he played for Bayern Munich with that ability to cut inside. But Leon Bailey just looks a little bit lost trying to shift the ball back that there.
Here is Tapsoba.
Baumgartlinger is just playing on the same line there as Aranguiz. It's a double pivot now at the base of midfield, so it looks like a 4-2-3-1 system.
Here come Monchengladbach once more. The right back has made a run forward. Stefan Leiner. Brilliant defensive work from Bender, having just scored, having just increased Bayer Leverkusen's lead. As we said, he'll claim he meant it, but he certainly looked as though he was trying to divert it towards that far post.
he definitely was.
Cannoned off the shoulder. But they all count, don't they? And here come Monchengladbach, another opportunity. This time it falls to Alassane player. Probably didn't expect that ball to come through to him, having seen Bender leap in front of him, but he tries to guide it towards that far post. It just bounces wide of Lucas Hradecki's goal.
Player struggled to affect the game very much over the course of the 83 minutes so far. We've seen moments when we set up the Thuram goal, a couple of flashes of promise, but it certainly hasn't been the threat that Thuram was. He hasn't shown the ability to run in behind or to collect possession and bring Anderson into play. And certainly that's a headed chance free in the centre like that. Yes, he was put off by the defender, but for a striker, you need to be finishing there.
Vent fouled there.
There's a lot to like about this Leverkusen team and the way they've suddenly switched from a back 3 to a back 4 despite being 3-1 up. It just shows the kind of flexibility that Peter Bosz has, and now Gladbach have made changes to counter the back 3, and now they've got a different picture to face.
Player has another attempt at goal. This time it's guided wide there by Lucas Hradecki. Good ball in there. In behind for Alassane player. He looked up, drove it towards that near post. It was a good save, one-handed. Certainly looked on target. Monchengladbach have a corner. Delivered, left-footed. Again, it's towards Alassane player. Can't keep his header down. On harmlessly over the goal. Seeing Bender's goal again. You can see it. He's certainly aiming to go for that far post, which is the right thing to do, technically, I suppose.
It was a double run from Havertz and Tapsoba towards that front post that pulled the defenders out the way, though. And those are the movements and blocking movements that you see from teams who practice set pieces. They make decoy runs and dummy runs that create space and allow the ball to be played in areas. So it was good to see that it was effective there. But again, Bender will definitely claim it. But he's never been a goal scorer, even from midfield, never mind playing in the centre defence.
Exactly. Leverkusen closing the gap on Dortmund and Bayern. Bayern, of course, play tomorrow. Dortmund currently winning at the moment. Let's have a look at the scores from around the grounds just quickly. Freiburg 0, Werder Bremen 1, Paderborn 1, Hoffenheim 1, Wolfsburg 0, Borussia Dortmund 2 now. Ashraf Hakimi with their second goal in the 78th minute. Wolfsburg have also had Felix Klaus sent off. So they're down to 10 men. Dortmund, you did imagine now, fully home and dry. Leverkusen will move into third place, 4 points behind Dortmund in second. 5 points behind Bayern, who have, of course, played a game less. A little bit too early to say that Leverkusen are in the title race, but they're certainly in the race for a Champions League position. And having leapfrogged Monchengladbach, they'll feel confident.
Absolutely. I mean, top four going to the Champions League for Germany, whatever the Champions League looks like next season, I guess. But they're still, Leipzig, of course, are a real threat with their ability in the attacking phase more than anything else. It's a fascinating race for the top four.
Is indeed. 3 minutes plus stoppage time remaining here at Borussia Park. Gladbach feeling they should have had a penalty again just a moment ago. Header cannoned off a Leverkusen body, unclear if it struck an arm, but even so, from such close range, it's so difficult to do anything about it. Here's Lucas Hradecki. Kai Havertz gets up in the air there, knocks it on for Leon Bailey, but Monchengladbach have it back. All over the top here. Monchengladbach with an opportunity once more. Good defending though. From Sinkgraven, getting back. Foul. Midway inside the Leverkusen half. Stindl, the culprit. Don't forget, if you're watching us live, hit that like button. It is much appreciated. We really enjoy having you alongside us as we take you through these games with the deep analysis of Lee Scott. Follow him on Twitter, FM Analysis. And also make sure you follow Total Football Analysis. Head over to the website for some really good tactical articles. And of course, you can sign up to the magazine, which, as we were saying earlier, has gone from a monthly edition to a weekly edition now. That's how much top quality tactical analysis content there is available for you now. The progress has been incredible. We were saying earlier on, when I joined up with you guys, 4-5 weeks ago maybe, it was a monthly magazine, and now it's weekly.
It's been incredible growth over the last few months. There's various different things going on in the background that we're working hard on, but the crux of the site and everything that we do, Total Football Analysis, will still be tactical analysis. And don't forget that every single Bundesliga game that's been played this weekend, you will be able to find tactical analysis of those games by Tuesday at the very latest. So they're worth checking back just to see how the games have gone from a tactical viewpoint. Very useful to look at tactical analysis of the previous week's games before you watch a game the next week. It gives you an idea of exactly how the teams are going to play.
Absolutely, and I can say firsthand that I found that very useful in preparing for these games. But I'm also lucky to have Lee alongside me, because the fountain of knowledge is there for me to tap into whenever necessary. Bayer Leverkusen have a corner. We're into the last minute of normal time. Havertz and Demirbay take it short. Going to try and hold the ball in the corner. Kerem Demirbay conceded a throw in there though. That stand behind Jan Sommer's goal are full. The bottom tier is anyway. With cardboard cutouts of fans.
A good initiative from Monchengladbach. I hope that more teams in the Bundesliga follow suit. As we said last week, the fans are still watching these games live. They're still at home, socially distancing. They're being responsible and watching the matches and hoping that their teams win. So anything at the moment that connect fans to the club and they would love to be in the stadium, I think, is important.
Absolutely. 3 minutes of time added on. Kai Havertz driving forward here for Bayer Leverkusen. Looks for Diaby, who just pulled out to that right-hand side, but the pass was intercepted.
And that's the unselfish side of Kai Havertz, obviously on a hat-trick there in the last minute, driving centrally. He had the opportunity to shift the ball and shoot, but he thought he'd try and play his teammate in instead.
Delivery into the penalty area there from Stefan Leiner. Goes all the way back to the far post, to the corner flag even. Vent is there. His pass is nowhere near accurate enough as Kai Havertz looks to release Diaby once more.
We've seen now that Leon Bailey's moved back over the left-hand side. Obviously, Peter Bosz decided he did look too uncomfortable on this near side, so we've seen Moussa Diaby move out there. Diaby's more versatile and able to play on either side.
Gladbach have a free kick. Benez is going to take it, left-footed. Opportunity to get some bodies in the penalty area. Once more, around about a minute of stoppage time remaining here. Delivered into the box, left-footed. Headed clear. Offside flag's gone up. Bayer Leverkusen have a free kick and the opportunity to waste a few more seconds. Certainly was the right call. Rami Bensabeni was certainly slightly offside there. Rudi Voller in the crowd there. Or in the stadium, I should say. There is no crowd. Not a real one anyway. Long ball forward for Bayer Leverkusen. Kai Havertz underneath it. If I was watching Kai Havertz, you know, just at first glance, the first thing I would say he's almost the complete forward player. I would maybe say that he could do with having a little bit more pace in the modern day, but we've seen that he's deceivingly quick.
Yeah, he's got the ability to stretch his legs, and we saw type of position in the first half when the ball was played down the left-hand side and Havertz was able to accelerate to get the ball ahead of the defender. He seems to have everything in his game. I think sometimes with players like this, they need very specific systems to really bring the best out of them. Peter Bosz obviously uses him in this role. We've seen him play as an advanced midfielder as well, so there's a lot to like about him and a lot more development to come in his game.
Absolutely. It's full time here at Borussia Park. It's Borussia Monchengladbach 1, Bayer Leverkusen 3. Kai Havertz opened the scoring. Marcus Thuram levelled things for the home side before Havertz then put Bayer Leverkusen back in front from the penalty spot. And it was Sven Bender's header, or shoulder, whatever you want to call it, at the near post that decided the game, put the game beyond doubt. And Bayer Leverkusen, as a result, leapfrog Borussia Monchengladbach in the table. Marco Rose will be disappointed. Peter Bosz will be pretty pleased with what he said, what he's seen. And the game is over here. Borussia Dortmund have also won, which of course has implications on the league table. Let's just quickly take you through those results once more. It's Borussia Mönchengladbach 1, Bayer Leverkusen 3 here. Freiburg 0, Werder Bremen 1, Paderborn 1, Hoffenheim 1, Wolfsburg 0, Borussia Dortmund 2. Bayern versus Eintracht Frankfurt. That kicks off at 5:30 this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Big hello to everyone who's watched us via the Hot Mic app and to those of you who joined us via the Total Football Analysis YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give Total Football Analysis a follow via the app. And you can follow myself at Harry Symeou on Twitter and Lee at FM Analysis. Lee, thank you so much, mate. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.